Welcome to the iBid Plus bidding methodology series. In this video, we will review the different bidding strategies in example 2. In this example, we want to assume that company A, Landscape Incorporated, uses a risk-based allocation strategy where they mark up material 20%, equipment 25%, labor 70% to recover their overhead. Now obviously these percentages are fictitious and for illustration purposes only. See Bidding Strategies Determining Your Markups video for detail on how to set up these percentages for your company. We're going to compare two jobs. We're going to go back to material moly, where there's material costs of $100,000, equipment costs at $25,000, and labor at $10,000. This job is expected to take 1 day. Using method 3 from our previous example, the company uses a factor of 3 on materials. Therefore, materials are estimated to be $100,000. So to compute the bid price, the company simply uses their cost times a factor method, which is 3. $100,000 times their factor of 3 equals $300,000 for their bid price. The next strategy is cost plus fixed markup. The company uses a fixed markup of 50% to cover overhead. Therefore, the company computes the total cost to be $135,000. Then marks up this $135,000 by 50%, or $67,500 of overhead recovery. Then they sum the total costs with this overhead amount and add in a profit of 20%. This leaves you with a bid price of $253,125. Next, the final strategy we will be comparing is the risk-based allocation, as discussed earlier. Remember, this allocation method uses different percentages for material, equipment, and labor to calculate overhead. So, as the other examples mentioned, we have total cost of $135,000. This strategy differs because we take the material and mark it up 20%, the equipment 25%, and labor 70%, thus producing a total overhead markup of $33,250. Add this to our costs, plus a 20% profit, and we arrive with a bid price of $210,313. So in summary, comparing these three methods, we see that the lowest bid price is produced by the risk-based allocation method. Next, let's look at Labor Larry. Instead of having high material cost, Labor Larry's cost exists within the labor. Here we will use the same three methods to compute the bid. In this example, the calculation is absurd. Taking materials times 3 would only produce a bid price of $30,000. The next method, cost plus a fixed markup, will produce the same result as it did with material moly. Finally, the risk-based allocation method will place a heavier emphasis and a heavier markup on the labor portion of the job as 70%. Thus, total overhead markup will be $78,250. Including a 20% profit, the bid price is computed at $266,000 for the bid rounded. Here, with the side-by-side comparison, we quickly eliminate the cost times a factor method at $30,000. In fact, if a customer saw this, they would quickly throw this estimate in the trash because it is so far out of the range. If the company was unfortunate enough to receive the job, they will quickly be going out of business with these kind of prices. Comparing the cost plus the fixed markup in a risk-based allocation strategy, we see that the cost plus the fixed markup method wins the job. Now, we need to ask, what does all this mean? In summary, by using our risk-based allocation method, we win the material Molly job and lose the labor Larry job. Let's look at this in summary and see what the advantages are. This is a screenshot of the previous slide we looked at. With the material Molly job, although we're only recovering $33,000 in overhead, this job will only take us 1 day. Thus, we will recover $333,000 in 1 day of overhead. That is why, although the markup, overall markup, may be smaller on this job, we can quickly recover our overhead by winning multiple jobs such as this. In comparison, let's look at Labor Larry job. If we would have won this job, we would have recovered $78,000 in overhead, which you say, hey, that's a lot greater than the material Molly job. However, look at the overhead recovery per day on this. $5,000 versus material Molly at $33,000. So the question remains, which job does your firm want? What kind of jobs do you want to fill your schedule with? The material Molly job at $33,000 a day in overhead recovery? Or Labor Larry at $5,000 per day in overhead recovery? Understanding this important concept is crucial to ensure profitability and success in the landscape industry. To learn more, continue on with our next video in the sequence, determining your markups.